Hey everybody, thanks so much for attending Spinnaker.Live today. I hope you had a chance to check out those main stage sessions. Look, some pretty cool talks from a lot of great tech leaders, so be sure to check those out. First off, I just want to welcome everyone to the Spinnaker community, whether you are a Spinnaker veteran or just someone checking out Spinnaker for the first time. Thank you and welcome to Spinnaker.Live. It's just great to see everyone today. Some housekeeping notes throughout the presentation. There's going to be a lot of content today, probably a lot of questions too. Make sure you type those up in the chat, and we'll be able to answer them throughout the day and, build and learn from one another. Because ultimately, this is a community event. So even after the session, through the portal, engage with one another. Let's have a chat. Let's have a discussion. And I think even after every breakout, we're doing like little prizes and giveaways too. So make sure you check out the main channel for games and prizes throughout the break. So without further ado, let's get started. The talk is called Sailing with Spinnaker, On-Demand Delivery at Redbox. A little bit about myself. My name is Joel Vasallo. I'm the manager of Cloud DevOps at Redbox. There's my Twitter tag if you want to shoot me a tweet or send me a message or any questions you may have throughout the day. But also I'm a GEG organizer, a Google Developer Group organizer out of Chicago, running events for the local Chicago community around technology, the cloud, and just building and growing a community there. A little bit about Redbox. We rent and sell physical DVDs and Blu-rays at over 41,000 kiosks across America. You can find us at your convenience store, your grocery store. Every Tuesday, we get new titles available to you, our customers. A lot of people may not know this, but we also have an on-demand platform. So we can provide you movies in the comforts of your home, whether you're on your laptop, on your phone, or on your TV and your set-top devices. We're there for you, whether you are a kiosk customer or an on-demand customer. We are really happy to have you in the Redbox family, and thank you so much for your support and your business. This presentation is going to be a story about us modernizing our platform and ultimately building our on-demand platform as you know it today. So with that being said, there's always a day zero. You had to start somewhere. So the Field of Dreams was kicked off. In middle of 2018, we committed to a mission of digital transformation. You know, the term digital transformation, we hear that a lot today. But what does that mean for every organization? And for us, it was three things. We wanted to improve how we deliver software and our software delivery processes in general. Two, we wanted to migrate to cloud native architectures, right? A lot of the cloud is doing a lot of heavy lifting for a lot of probably complex workloads that may have existed in the past, but are now services such as S3, Kubernetes, EC2, Lambda functions, right? There's a lot of things that you could do to modernize your architecture that you have to consider when rewriting your software. And ultimately, modernize those legacy applications so we can build better and faster applications for our customers. We also wanted to do a mission of empowering our developers to build, deploy, and maintain their applications, and we'll touch on that. But how do you do that? If you're kind of been in the Spinnaker community for a while, or you may have heard the term of building a paved road, Netflix has been really popularizing this idea of building best common practice delivery methods to deploy to the cloud. The benefit of this is as more people deploy down this common lane of how to get software out the door, all the new features that you add to this, everyone in the organization can benefit from it. Whether you added multi-region support, whether you added support for how to deploy to S3, whether you added a way to do Lambda deployments into a pipeline, everyone in the organization now has a menu of what they can use to deploy to the cloud. The best part of it all is within your organization, it's well defined and it's well understood that even developers on a completely separate dev team can go to another dev team and share their expertise or help that team get up to speed. Again, building that concept of self-knowledge and self-growth with the organization. That all sounds well and good, right? But where do we start? Where do we start building that paved road? Because for a lot of us, it could just be kind of, this is where we feel we're at. We're like, we want to get there, of course. Look at these great giants doing this. How do we get there? And we'll kind of talk on how we did that ourselves. We knew where we wanted to start. We wanted a pretty cool language in .NET Core. We wanted to run in containers. Come on, containers are cool. Docker, yeah, let's do it. Kubernetes, I mean, at this point, I get a Kubernetes email every single day. I think it's here to stay. The cloud, right? It's tremendous growth. We wanted to move to the cloud to ultimately be in multiple regions to service our customers where they are at and provide them resilient services. But take a step back. We had to realize we were at. We had a lot of .NET expertise, but not as much in the .NET Core landscape. We had to build that. We had a lot of experience in hardcore computing, but not so much in containerization. We wanted to do the cloud, but we've never done a cloud environment before. What are some of the best practices there? There was a lot of education and growth that had to happen in order for this to start. But before we kind of get that there, we had to kind of figure out we need to actually try and do something and actually start building, right? So let's get started. We know where we want to be. Let's get started. We have to take a look at our current delivery pipeline. What does it mean to get code from a laptop all the way out to production? And ultimately from there, we're able to take each individual component of, hey, someone commits code, something happens to that code, maybe it gets scanned by a quality job of sorts, maybe it gets linted. After that, it goes to an operations script or whatever to deploy it to a VM. From there, it does, everything is going to be different for every organization, but lay those steps out so you know what you have to automate. But when I say this is really lay it out, no one really understands your business like you do, like your engineers do. Figure out what is truly needed and make sure that you justify why everything exists. A lot of things in a pipeline exist for a very good reason. They've probably been there from day one, and maybe they still need to exist, but understand why they do, and ultimately reiterate the fact that this is something that's still truly needed, because a lot of things at the pace of technology changes every day. There's better ways of doing things. I always like to say that an effective delivery pipeline does not start at delivery. What do we mean by that? At Redbox, we had 3 core principles in our digital transformation journey. The first of which was empowering our engineers. We wanted to build a culture in which we empower engineers to build, deploy, and own their applications end to end. Now, this is where I have to stop and say, we're not just giving developers pseudo access on all the boxes and say, here you go, good luck, deploy the Docker container. No. Each individual team has to build compelling solutions to alleviate the stress of how do I run a Linux container? How do I use .NET Core within the concepts of AWS? Build common solutions so developers don't have to worry about all that and they can just focus on their code. With that being said, we also had to make deployments boring. Deployment should no longer be this grandstanding event where we're just there, is everything checked? Okay, cool, hit the button, and then everything blows up. No, we had to find a way that changes on a daily basis are common. I'm not saying the releases or the big projects should not be celebrated. I'm saying that day-to-day changes, things change all the time, right? We should be able to deploy at any time of the day with little to no impact. And the last thing is something that we centralized was we wanted everything to be done with a click of a button. Yes, I want this in prod. No, I don't want this in prod. I want to roll back this. Everything has to be a click of the button to ultimately developers don't have to know the implementation details. So for us, we chose to centralize a common platform. That was Spinnaker. So why Spinnaker? It started as a Netflix open source project in late 2015. It's still an open and active and growing community today. And now the best part of it, it's part of the Continuous Delivery Foundation in a neutral space. So a lot of great companies are behind it. Whether you are a user of Spinnaker, a developer of Spinnaker, hey, some of the core contributors attending. It's every day. It's just growing. It's crazy. And if you haven't had a chance to check out the Slack, it's just a great spot to get started and ask your questions. Best part of Spinnaker is it provides a singular interface for our various cloud providers. Whether you're in AWS, whether you're in Google Cloud, whether you're using Kubernetes, it's available to you. You don't have to worry about building custom interfaces for each of these. You just use Spinnaker as your entry point, and it can branch out into all these various providers. I mentioned it, but it supports Kubernetes, and the best part is it's not just GKE. So whether you're running Kubernetes in AWS, in GCP, in Azure, as long as it supports Kubernetes native APIs, it should just work. There's some pretty cool things being added too. Automated canary analysis that could take months to build within an organization. It's built into Spinnaker. Obviously, there's some work for it, but you get that benefit because other people, again, kind of like the paved road, have found a way, a feature, added it to Spinnaker, and now you get the benefits of it. Anytime you're doing something with an organization, you want to make sure it has a large user base and an excellent community. There's a lot of folks behind Spinnaker, and if you're a contributor, thank you so much for everything you do in the day-to-day. Multi-account, multi-region, and multi-cloud. It's kind of see in the background here, we can visualize everything in one spot. Whether your app is in Kubernetes or your app is in AWS, you can visualize that in one spot, which is awesome. There's no longer, you don't have to put multiple lenses on to see everything. You can see your entire application end to end in one spot, and that's invaluable. Ultimately, Spinnaker allows you to visualize your delivery. Basically, I mean, the way I like to describe it is you can build a software delivery pipeline, but it also is like a business process pipeline. Like, hey, the first thing we need to do is verify the commit was done by someone that's trusted. We have to run a automated canary scan or something after we deploy, a quality scan after we deploy. We want to make sure that when we deploy to stage, it only has 2 servers, and when it goes to prod, it has 3. We got all that out of Spinnaker right out of the box, and the best part is it was click and drop and name some fields, and boom, we got it after we all connected all our accounts together. So to start, we did Docker Compose on EC2 in AWS. Now, it's not going to be one of those talks where you're going to see it like a reinvent of sorts of like, look at how they revolutionized the internet. No, but guess what? At the end of the day, it worked. It worked, and it enabled us to slowly build expertise in the course of a year. Hey, what is new in .NET Core? Hey, what is a container? Oh, I learned how to do a container, and I know how to set limits on that container now too. Also, that's how you pass an environment variable. Got it. Okay. That expertise and growth, now you're becoming subject matter experts, and you can help build that within your organization. So things like our search and catalog, we're one of our first pioneers on the platform. A lot of learning, a lot of tests on our tools. Our Reels and emails campaign that you see on Redbox were done using this pipeline. But the best part of it is even extended past that to other parts of the organization, like the data teams. And even some of our CDN efforts were done through Spinnaker, which is pretty cool. I did a lot of this talking at Spinnaker Summit 2019. Go ahead and check that talk out, but basically it looks something like this. Git goes to some CI tool, Docker container gets built, Spinnaker does it, and it goes to AWS. But something I do want to mention is Spinnaker is not only great at doing its job well, it's very extensible. And for us, we use a tool called Formas. It's an open source tool that kind of does 2 things. It enables you to codify your pipelines, as well as gives you a way to recreate those pipelines in the event of a disaster, right? If a pipeline gets deleted by, I hate using this example, but the intern, right, goes and deletes the pipeline. I don't know why they would. You can recreate that and no harm, no foul. In addition to that, it also allows you to build best practices infrastructure with safe defaults. Remember that concept of guardrails, not gates, that you may have been hearing today? It comes with built-in guardrails. If, for example, in Stage, you may want to say, I want to have 50 servers. Well, staging doesn't need 50 servers. It barely uses 2, maybe 5 in load testing, right? So it'll kind of put you within bounds and provide you that message of like, hey, we've adjusted these few parameters. This is what it's going to do. But the best part of it is it allows engineers to specify what they want. It allows our delivery teams to specify the best practices templates, take those 2 together, and generate something that we as a company and as an organization understand as this is how we deploy, this is how infrastructure is created, this is how DNS records are created, how load balancers are created. Here are the options available to you. And it's kind of nice. It gives everyone a little bit of piece of a pie, and it opens the room for conversation, which is the most important part of the entire thing. Why can't I deploy to prod in this fashion? Well, you don't meet availability targets. If you're going to deploy to prod, you better have at least 2 servers because regions go down all the time, right? So things like that can be introduced with this. A lot of these concepts are being done with the concept of managed delivery. I encourage you to check out a talk from the Spinnaker Summit 2019, or just go to the managed delivery website. Kind kind of building on this is the official effort of the Spinnaker community, and I think it's every day it's amazing the efforts they're doing on this. So definitely check this out. So here we are. We did AWS. We got a few apps behind our pipeline. We got everyone churning here, but there's still more. The mission came down as, hey, we have 1 year to build, test, and deploy our own on-demand platform and migrate away from an existing white label solution. One, it had to scale to customer demand and be highly available. So top down, multi-region, there's no room for failure there. Provide a reliable and extensible service communication. So all the great things you hear at these talks of, we want a canary test, we want to have controlled rollouts, we want to have circuit breakers. I'm not doing a canary demo, don't worry. We wanted to have that in our platform. Obviously, a lot of people are using it. It's obviously working for others. We want to have a piece of that pie too. And ultimately, we wanted to still maintain that same concept of empowering our engineers to have that fast turnaround on features and bug fixes. Again, provide them the guardrails to do the right thing, but not limit them, right? The gate it's not really a gate, it's a rail. And if you want to talk about it, hey, let's see what we can do. How can we build this and extend this platform for us as an organization? So we just basically decided to move to Kubernetes for this. Again, where we wanted to be. We spent a lot of time building expertise within containers and .NET. We have a solidified delivery platform. We added support for Kubernetes within Google Cloud. So day one, May and June, we're like, hey, I think we got this. Yeah, we're learning. There was probably a few typos here and there, and replicas maybe have been missing, or specs may have been out of date, because there's a lot of information out there. Again, the organization has never seen Kubernetes, as many of us have. We all have to start somewhere. So, first 2 months it's fine. It's a YAML file. Deploy the 3 services. Who cares? 3 services. YAML, kube, CTL apply. Good to go. Then we kind of said, this is good. This is a good start. We were still able to focus on delivering features as a whole for the organization. We weren't really resting on our laurels, but we were able to kind of say, all right, we have built this infrastructure. We could kind of go from there. But then our lovely fearless leader said, hey, wait. We got Kubernetes, but we're not done. Well, how do we do that service-to-service stuff, that canary stuff that we've been talking about? And for us, we looked at a tool called Istio. It's a service mesh. It enables you to do traffic routing, security, observability, and extensibility. Best part, no code. So, why Istio? A colleague of mine, Lynn, and myself, we presented this at a meetup. I'll share this as well after the session. I'm not going to go too much into how Istio works, but the best part is that it gave us fine-grained control of traffic. We're able to do routing rules and retries and failovers. There was a policy layer. We could do rate limits. Service-to-service communication is done via proxies. So the best part of it gives you observability. So things like open tracing, logs. You don't have to write that anymore. I mean, you can still extend on it, obviously, but it is out of the box, and you can grow and build your application expertise like that over time. So we had it. All right, we had Kubernetes. We added Istio. We're able to do the canary, the demo that we all see. Then the question came out and say, hey, cool, canaries. I've seen the YouTube video. I got that. What about multi-region? Wait. Customers are in the East Coast and the West Coast and in our Central. How do we get them to have a fast response to our platform? Well, this is where we kind of look and we're like, yeah, Istio added some YAML. It's getting a little annoying. Oh, wait. 2 clusters. How do we do this? And for that, we basically turned to Spinnaker. Again, making deployments boring again. We took a git commit, we bake a template in Helm, container gets built, Spinnaker sees this, and ultimately deploys that to an East cluster and a West cluster. It's a little boring, but that's what it is, and it works. So basically, a better part of the remainder of the year was spent on pipeline tuning and templates. So we wanted to create pipelines per region so you can deploy to each region individually. We wanted to take all that YAML and break it down into individual steps. This step is doing Istio. This step is deploying. This step is running integration tests. We added ability to trace changes all the way down to git commits. That is awesome. There's been countless times that we've been able to find where exactly down to the line of code has introduced a regression in our system. Why did this call go up to 10 milliseconds? Well, it looks like we're not caching that Redis call. Well, let's go ahead and re-add that back. Visualization and changes in Spinnaker. Again, Spinnaker provides you the ability to view your entire infrastructure. We extended a lot of this via formats. Again, not going to talk about it here, but definitely check out the project. It eliminated that guessing game. There was no more how do we deploy as an organization. There was no more kubectl apply start. Thank you, please. East versus West. We simplified a lot of this because developers don't really should care about those details, not because they don't understand it or they won't understand it, but really they shouldn't need to. An engineer would love the day where they could just commit code and hit a button and it's out the door. That's what we wanted to deliver. You kind of see that on the screenshot here on the left. And the results is, after all this, we nearly doubled our deployments within Spinnaker. You can see here in June to basically October, the conversations also slowly shifted to how do we deploy? Was this tested to? How can we add that new feature? How do we fix that regression that Spinnaker caught, like through the automated test, which is actually pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see in the transformation, seeing this happen in front of your eyes. So the results of your work. It allowed us to focus back on core requirements. So we were able to invest in things like a global load balancer. We knew our customers had to be in multiple regions and we wanted to build that solution. We were able to do things like test failover, destroy the East region and destroy the Central region, and let's shift all the traffic to the West. You see a lot of great demos from all the great companies, but being able to do this and invest in things that are not so much tied to the deployment, but rather delivering value to our customer. And happy to say that it did work. In October, it was like our first internal demo of, yes, our multi-region infrastructure and everything works. And we were really happy, and that's kind of some of the team members involved, and me in the red in the back. So we got it. We have Spinnaker, we have developer-driven CI/CD. We're done, right? Wait, how do we actually cut over? How do we monitor this stuff? So in January through February, we had to build a custom routing layer because, again, we're moving from a white label solution, but we're not just going to up and lift and move away from it. We had to build that custom layer to ensure availability of multiple regions. We had to make sure we had stability. We had to route traffic to our platform versus the white label solution, safe and gradual rollouts. We wanted to make canary within our deployments, right? It wasn't so much just A and B. It was A and B, and then within our platform, A and B as well. Like, hey, does the new deployment work better or worse? And ultimately, we had to sync customer data. We don't want them to even know that we're cutting over. The customer shouldn't care that we moved our backend. This is just kind of a quick slide, but basically some of the complexities. We had the global data backend there. We had to worry about whether to go the white label solution or our platform. A lot of things in syncing data, as you can imagine. So definitely a lot of work involved in that short window. February through March, we spent a lot of time doing things like Grafana, Prometheus, and Thanos. That wasn't to say they weren't there from the beginning, but investing in that and making sure we tuned, because we got a lot of load through the recent circumstances. We wanted to make sure that our metrics and everything kept up to date. We invested in things like open tracing. Open tracing is awesome, and if you have not used it yet, consider it. Being able to trace a call going into your system and going out of your system is awesome. It's great. Logs, Loki and Stackdriver, and the best part is a lot of this is open source. We wanted just how we want to have an open source culture inside the company. We love using and supporting open source tools within the company as well. And then April through May 2020, we had our tuning and cutover. 2 systems were running in parallel, A/B testing, as I mentioned earlier. We had things like increased load due to the circumstances. I mentioned this, but 5% of traffic of our normal traffic quickly became 10 to 15% of our traffic because more people are at home watching movies. And ultimately, it was a lot of under-the-gun capacity tuning and resources and planning, and there was a lot of hard deadlines contractually. But all in all, I don't have a good picture because we're all at home and doing this work, but we did it, and mission success in May 2020, and it would not have been possible without Spinnaker. So in summary, does it work? I'll let the numbers do the details there. Over 1,800 deployments a month. It's pretty cool. Takeaways are: build a culture of empowering your engineers to own their code. You build it, you run it. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Start small and iterate as you go. The journey is more important. Building that expertise and growth is more important. Automation does not mean compromising availability and quality and security. Provide your developers guardrails to do what they want. Don't lock them into gates. Give them safe defaults and enforce standards. And ultimately, out of this talk, I hope you can see that Spinnaker is pretty cool and pretty awesome. With that being said, I do want to shoot a shout out to our tech blog. We post from there from time to time, so feel free to check that out. And thank you so much. Again, there's my contact details. I think we'll have a trivia slide, so put your answer in the chat function here in a second. Make sure you connect with us via Slack and Twitter. And ultimately, thank you so much for attending my talk. I know there's a lot of things you can do with your time, so I do truly appreciate that. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of the Spinnaker Live event today. And have a great one. Bye.